Yo, today I'm going to be showcasing some tips on how to get Voidbound Fox in Nullscape. Now, quick disclaimer here, this is not a how to get good at Nullscape video. If you want to get generally good at the game, there are some amazing guides by Fox's Rock which really highlight some good general tips and strategies, so I highly recommend watching those. But this video will go more into depth on the best curses, enemies, and upgrades for each level, as well as some other tips specifically for extreme Voidbound Fox runs. So let's get straight into it. So before I go over all the choices, I want to go over joining servers because it's the most important thing in my opinion. The servers that I found most success with are Party Plus servers with a minimum extreme level of around 10 to 15, a minimum rank of around 50, with both host picks and host alters. These requirements need to be strict because most people who join extreme are ironically low level players. So if you do find a server with requirements like this and you can join it, then the host is probably the real deal. Keep in mind that servers do take a while to start up, so be patient. The more people on a server, the more likely it is to attract other players. Feel free to treat the low player count runs as warm-ups. Now, even if you are a low-level player who hasn't played extreme, the no requirement servers are fine as well. You can boost up your minimum extreme level and rank, plus you could even get the Fox if you're lucky. Now that's out of the way, it's time to talk about strategies within the run. Now for the early game, the order of enemies I choose are Bell, then Springer, then ICBM, and then Mart. You want a maximum of 2 stacks of Mart for the early game, and you also want to limit ICBMs early if possible, but you can stack both Bell and Springer as much as you want. You want to save Baby for level 11 plus to avoid the Greater Curse Tantrum, and you also want to save Husk for level 16 plus to avoid Destroyer. At level 5 you can get Flesh and Operator. Operator can be a quick pickup since its Greater Curse isn't that bad, but Flesh itself has a bad Greater Curse and it's just annoying without much movement, so it's best to save it until level 11 plus. At level 8, both Guardian and Telefragger become available, and both are fine to pick up whenever. In my successful VV Fox run, we got both of these at level 10 to open up some curse options, which I'll explain more about later. At level 10, Kelowna shows up, which can be an instant take. Feel free to take 2 stacks of those since it doesn't do much. At this point, Voidbound Baby should become eligible as soon as you pick up your second Baby, which you should try to do before level 15 to stay on pace. You can pick it up at around level 16 or 17. At level 15, Cadence, Voidbreaker, and Sigil become available. Sigil can be picked up as soon as you see it, and Cadence can be stalled until level 17 to 19, and Voidbreaker can also be picked up at level 18 to 19 to avoid these trash Greater Curses. I prefer Cadence over Voidbreaker because Voidbreaker affects everyone, while Cadence can be managed by just a few people, but that's just my opinion. Hopefully by the end you've saved all your enemy rerolls, because on level 20 you want to reroll until you finally get both Scrap Maw and Voidbound Guardian in one swoop, completing the run. One final thing about enemies is to remember that every enemy is buffed in extreme mode. Marts are faster, Telefragger's dash, and Springer has a death shockwave and all that stuff. Here's a quick summary of what I talked about in a Discord screenshot. Feel free to save it if you want to. Curses are the most important aspect of the run since one bad pickup can ruin everything. Instead of talking about each curse individually, I'll summarize the good pickups, the situational pickups, and the run-ending pickups. Out of all the global curses, low gravity, random spawn, scattered gifts, bigger trip mines, 1 stack of more trip mines, chance alter curses, and fake count are all ideal. Barrel trauma and minefield only show up at level 15, but they're also very good pickups. Late game, weaker jump pads are fine since everyone has good movement. Savory ring and fragile gifts are okay if you're instantly beaconing anyways. Don't consider picking up lap 2, nothing, or jackpot. Lap 2 and nothing makes things excessively risky for extreme mode level 20, and Jackpot Martpocalypse literally ends the run on the spot due to faster marts. As for enemy curses, I'd say More Ringing, Mighty Gong, Problem Child, 1 stack of Bigger Blast, Bloodier Meat, Blighted Jump Pads, Camouflage, Ambush, Accurate Telefragger, and Burning Bouquet are all ideal options. Once Husk is available, you can also pick up Further, Random, and Taller Husks. Make sure to monitor your curses and enemies to see if you need to pick up a new enemy for more curse options. Now, for the situational curses, Bigger Marts and Pacifier depend on how many Marts or Babies you have, but are mostly fine if nothing else is good. All of the other curses are hell and will probably kill a ton of people. Remember that curses that are fine on standard, like Spring Loaded, can slaughter you on extreme because of the enemy changes. Metal curses are really important for early game money and should always be picked up whenever possible. I'd say the general cutoff for selecting metal curses is level 12, when options like Mart Slide or Lap 2 show up more often. However, it depends on your econ and curse situation if you're pushing for upgrades. Here's the metal curse list. Like I mentioned, the Trip Mine curses, Mighty Gong, Problem Child, Pacifier, Bigger Blast, Bloodier Meat, Accurate Telefragger, and Burning Bouquet are all okay to pick up, but remember that these options will run out pretty quickly, so be wary of that. Now, graded curses are what the run is built around. If you follow my enemy picks, you shouldn't worry too much about these. The ideal greater curses are Void Implosions, Razor Bloom, and Inverse Destruction. If you can get 2 of these 3 greater curses, then you are looking good. Run is very unlikely to get unless you get Barrel Trauma early, but it is a good option if possible. I'd say Oblivion and Hollow Towers are relatively okay, then Tantrum, Mass Infection, and Voidbound Operator afterwards. Everything else is a run ender and should definitely be avoided. Altars are a key part of the run. You want to be sure you're activating the right altars at the right times to maximize your reward and minimize the risk. At the beginning, feel free to use the Chance Altar as much as you want until you get a Chance Altar curse. After you get a curse, the risk of payment is just too much. At level 8, the Purgatory Altar spawns. If you get lucky, an Echo or Passage Altar will also spawn. Make sure you use the Purgatory Altar before 50% of the gifts are collected, because if you miss it, you could miss some key upgrades. If there is an Echo Altar, you can also hit that right before Collapse to get the maximum gift yield. And Passage can also come relatively late to avoid the Enraged Guardian. Once you reach level 15, do not ever activate the Purgatory Altar as it is no longer worth it. You can even lay off a couple levels earlier if you need to. At this point, Passage and Echo Altars will work fine for some small passive income. At late levels, beaconing is the most important thing. In every single level, especially early game, you need to maximize your golden gift earnings. All of the prices I will list here are based on 20 players, so they might be a little cheaper on smaller servers. On level 3, you should pick up Paycheck. On level 5, you should pick up Business License, Paycheck, and Medal. And on level 8, you should pick up Paycheck, Business License, and Fanny Pack, while picking up Grace Wings, Diffuse Kits, Swiftness Rings, and or Double Jump if you can. At level 10, you want all of those, plus Ice Skates, Pocket Bell, Grapple Points, and better jump pads. If you properly use all the Econ altars, you should have enough. After you get these upgrades, there are 2 main lines. The first line is to go for shield. If you have a strong server and get lucky with Purg and Echo Altars, then this is the best line to go for. If you can get 18,287 gifts by level 15, then you can buy shield and try to cruise until level 20. Unfortunately, I've only gotten the shield line once since it requires a combo of skilled players and very strong luck, so the alternative, more realistic option is to get sports shoes, which are 6.2k golden gifts, AGC for 2.7k golden gifts, Ninja Belt for 3.2k golden gifts, and LRS for 1.3k golden gifts. These total to 13.5 thousand golden gifts, which is cheaper than shield and will hopefully keep you alive. The run won't be as comfortable, but it's still very much livable. If you want to know the exact price scaling for all upgrades, use the Nullscape price calculator linked in the description. Not only can you set it to any player count, party size, and difficulty, but it even tells you what you can and cannot buy based on your level and golden gift count. It is a very useful tool. I highly recommend it. To finish off this video, I'm going to mention a few more tips that I wasn't able to mention earlier on. First, if a run dies but you want to start a new one, first wait for people to leave and then get everyone to die on the first level. For some reason, price scaling is set to the max people once you spawn back in, so it's automatically set to like 20 people even though there's like 10 people in the server. So be sure to reset that so you're not stuck with really expensive prices early on. Second, always wait to activate altars to minimize the downsides. For example, if you activate Chance Altar early and get Marpocalypse, you're probably kind of cooked. If you activate it later though, you can still get most of the gifts and get out. Same with Purgatory Altar, where if you activate it earlier, you're stuck with the bad enemies more, and passaging early means that you are stuck with an Enraged Guardian. So it's generally better to do stuff later, but obviously don't wait until too late when it's going. Third, in later levels, always prioritize high rises. High rises are extremely annoying to deal with, especially when they're the last few gifts since there's so few people remaining. So always try to get those out of the way just so everything else is easier for the LRSs and stuff like that. Fourth, don't rush the host, don't be negative, and don't be toxic. If anything, I recommend that you kick people like that. My successful run was the one run where everyone was helpful and nobody was toxic. Every other one, there was some like annoying people going like, oh, why are you keeping this? Or, oh, what are you doing with that? Like, it's so annoying when people do that, and it really just ruins your motivation and mood. And rushing people to make choices is also not helpful either. Voidbound Fox is a run that requires a lot of thinking and a lot of planning. And if you're rushing people, then you might as well just leave. This is not for you if you don't want to spend the time doing that. Fifth, always consider what curses you could get before you reroll. Do not rush it based on instincts. For example, right at this level 19, Owl was about to reroll this weaker jump pads, but I was like, wait a minute, this is actually not that bad. But instincts would normally tell me, oh, weaker jump pads is like an obvious reroll. But if you think about the curses left in the pool, like Lap 2 and Mark Slide and all that, that would be really, really bad. So think about that before you start rerolling stuff. And plus you have a limited amount, so you definitely want to be saving them. Tip number 6 is to just be patient when collecting gifts. Your life is more important than the gifts. If you survive longer, that is infinitely more valuable than collecting like 20 gifts. So just take your time with those and be sure to survive over anything. And my final tip is really just to keep trying. Voidbound Fox runs really just come down to the right players and the right RNG. And I mean, it took me a lot of failed runs to experiment with stuff, find out what worked, find out what didn't. And that's all for the Voidbound Fox guide. I hope you found some of these tips useful. Reminder that this guide is not perfect, and that my opinions on enemies and curses are probably different than yours, so feel free to experiment with other options and see what works. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you next time. Take care.